I started thinking about flipping my classroom a long time ago.
Because Cindy always says, if you can't explain very clearly the concept to someone, then you didn't get it.
We need to teach them how to think through a problem. We need to teach them how to think like scientists. And it's those sort of things that a rote lecture and then rote learning just doesn't achieve.
I think Cindy does a great job trying to bring out participation in everyone.
So she wanted to transfer her passion to us, and that's how she does it, by, devising over a way for us to learn better and to enjoy the subject.
I was really excited about it when I first, at the start of the semester, heard that we were doing the flipped classroom.
As part of the flipped classroom, the students do the online learning, then they come to the lectorial, and then I have a quiz which I put online each week.
So the flipped classroom really needs you to do some independent work on your own prior to your lecture.
Before every lectorial, we have pre-reading to do. We have to listen to the lecture recording, and of course there's the lecture notes.
Being able to go through the content before the lectorial gives you time to really consolidate your knowledge.
You come to class, that's a second contact with the material. Therefore, you have at least 2 contacts with one topic.
So they'll do the learning online, they'll reinforce it in the lecture, and then they can do the quiz, and that sort of closes the loop. So they've learnt it, they've applied it, and then they've tested that they do know it.
In the first week of the semester, I think I was one of 5 students that came in prepared.
And it was like a dentistry session. You had to pull the information out of them. So going back to another PD session, they had told us about wordles.
Well, I've never heard of them before, and I thought it was great to mix, words and puzzles, so Wordle.
So Wordle is a word cloud.
So Cindy gives us a topic and we email her what we think are the 3 most important parts of that topic.
So all of the words are cut and pasted into the website.
And it makes like a poster of it, with the biggest words being the ones that were the most popular.
So it gives them a starting point for what they should talk about in their little discussions in their groups.
So for me, I guess it really pushed me to become a more active learner by going through the content before the day of the practicals in the class.
And the change in the group was phenomenal. I was blown away.
More recently in the lectorials, the room is normally so full, Cindy will ask a question and 50 people answer at once.
From having to draw all the information from them, they were now wanting to talk about what they had made.
It promotes more active learning for the students.
The room is full of energy when we do the lectorial. It's a really good learning environment, and it's good for me too.
This flipped classroom is different from traditional lectures. We don't go through the lecture material as such. We go there with assumed knowledge that we have gone through it already. We've done all the pre-reading.
But during the lectorial, you can ask questions. It really builds up our confidence, our critical thinking, and how we engage with people, how we engage with our peers as well.
So it's an opportunity for us to go there and discuss any questions or any parts of the topic that were not very clear.
Cindy wants us to think a lot so that in the exam, we're not really scared in the exam. We already have that practice of thinking independently.
I think the flipped classroom has helped me more and encouraged me to do a lot more reading and learning prior to coming to class. Otherwise, there's no point in turning up for the lectorial if you haven't done any work before.
I do prepare for the lectorials beforehand, because if you go in and you go, oh, we're covering this today, I'll just flick through my notes and find it, it's not very helpful and you don't actually get anything out of the lectorial.
When I compare with last year where we had lectures, we did have pre-reading to do, but to be honest, I didn't always do it. So I would go in the lecture not knowing anything.
It motivates you to actually learn your stuff.
During that whole process, they find some things that they might not understand fully, and so I will do a podcast on up to 3 things each week.
Cindy does a great job at making podcasts, and she asks us every week if there's anything that we would like her to make podcasts on.
And often puts in more detail as well than what you hear from the lectures.
And that's quite an easy process. I use Camtasia. It's really easy to edit. It's intuitive to use. I'm not a tech person, but I can use it without really very much instruction at all.
And they're a great way to sort of help you revise and just consolidate your knowledge on any topic.
We also do case studies in the lectorial.
We do one every week.
And we go through everything in depth.
You know, it directly relates to what we're not only going to be doing in the lab, but also in examinations, and getting the immediate feedback from Cindy. I feel like that's a really good way to learn in the lectorials.
And so it's really important that they understand how to correctly use those thought processes for the theory that they've learned and apply it to a real life situation.
She knows what she wants us to really master in the topic. That's why she would design those case studies.
Because this is what they're going to be doing when they go into laboratories. This is what their career is about. It's about interpreting patients' information to help them to do the correct further tests and determine what really is wrong with the patient.
It's not just about reading up on the disease or the disorder and actually seeing like a real case.
This is where the theory matters, the prac matters, the morph matters, and it's all tied up in the case study. I think flipping the classroom has been the best thing I've done for my students.
Covering the material beforehand, going to the lectorial and listening to the podcast. Plus at practicals, it gives you 4 opportunities to cover the content, and obviously the more you cover the content and the more different ways you cover it, you're going to have a better comprehension.
I can see them much more engaged, they're much more keen, they're much more enthusiastic.
Having the flipped classroom is a platform to allow us to participate and you know, express ourselves, so that's really good.
They feel a lot more ownership, I think, of what they're learning, and therefore they are much more engaged.
My mark has bumped up, and I really think that it's because I frequently attend those lectorial.
To anybody who's considering it, I would say give it a try. I found it very rewarding for me. I'm hoping the students will have found it rewarding as well, and I'm hoping that they will learn better and deeper.
So flipping the class has been a big challenge for me, but overall it has benefited me the most.